Order.
Yes.
Tina Walters, chair.
Elizabeth Gambrell. I don't know. At
Russell
large. or
Byerly
something
at
like that.
large.
I don't know where Brandy is, and Chrissy's supposed to be Zooming. But there's three of us
There's
here.
Christy.
There's Christy. Alrighty.
Am I?
Hi, Christy.
Sorry, I can't tell if you can hear me and it's very noisy where I am.
Oh, I can hear you.
Great. Hello.
Christy Evans, vice chair.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under with liberty and justice for all.
Number 3, general public comment. Is there any comment? Any
Public?
comments from the public? Is there any public on the Zoom? Candy?
Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay. Oh, who is on Zoom?
The only person on Zoom, oh, Pete Drunkers just joined us.
Okay. Hi,
And
Pete.
Christy Evans. So, just so you know, Mr. Drunkers, we are in public comment. So if you do have a public comment, please raise your hand and we will unmute you.
All right,
He is
number
not
4.
raised.
Okay, great. Approval of the minutes for April 10th.
I'm coming on. I would like to make a change to the minutes, and if it's allowable, just to say, Candy, make this change in there and then approve because everything else looked good. And that would be on number 9. The actual amount of the PILT money is $4,472,019.
$4,472,019.
Correct. And other than that, everything looked absolutely beautiful, and I would move that we approve the minutes of April 10th, 2025 with that change.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public safety update. Welcome, Deputy Cruz.
Very excited.
Here's Washoe County Sheriff's Office. We had a quarterly report come out for each of our beat districts. And as far as the data for this specific beat, it basically breaks down like we had one of something last year and we didn't have one this year. So that's a decrease in reported crime. And then we had instances where it was the opposite. So a lot of point data. Other than that, I don't have anything too specific to relay to the CAB meeting, but as always, I'm open for questions either now or later. Right.
Well, like I was mentioning earlier, when I called 911 yesterday, it didn't go to Washoe County EMS. It went to Pershing deputy. And then it went to some other deputy, I think Washoe. Then finally, Washoe EMS.
I think the 911 calls get routed by the cell tower that picks them up. And I don't know if maybe a Pershing tower got your call,
Maybe, yeah.
but yeah.
That's all. My cell phone. Yeah.
I know we had this issue several years ago. I thought I was loud enough. Anyway, I know we had this issue several years ago with the 911s not being routed appropriately, and they put some kind of fix in. So
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind taking that up to headquarters and having them check the software updates, changes, and services,
Okay. I'll
because
check into it.
that's a long delay if we,
It is
yes,
on top of another long delay. In some
correct,
cases.
correct.
So, yeah,
Thanks.
I'll
Yep.
find out.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my other question was, has anybody from Burning Man reached out to you about the event yet? And maybe
I-
they've already started bringing people into town, so I'm just wondering if they're starting
Yeah,
any
I've
planning.
spoken with quite a few people about it, and we're currently kind of in the early stages of planning some meetings and getting together with the seasonal employees
Awesome.
to let them know who we are and what we're about.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
My pleasure. Any
Thank
others?
you.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Mhm.
Number 6, Neighborhood Development Hub and other engagement opportunities. Hi, Candy.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me. This is Candy Ramos. For the record, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys the hub because it's always good stuff. Let's see. On a single screen. Okay, here we go. You guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So I wanted to share with you the Neighborhood Development Hub, which you can get to in a couple of ways. As I always show you from the homepage, you can get there by just looking in here and say neighborhood meeting. Oops, I spelled meeting with 3 E's. Let's see if it didn't do it. Meeting. And here you can find neighborhood meetings. Not our hub though, so wait, sorry. I bookmark it. How come it's not showing our neighborhood development hub? Neighborhood meetings, let's see. No. I don't even find out why it's not showing that anymore. Luckily, I have it bookmarked and it is
That's why I
linked
have I have a bookmark too.
It's also linked on the CAB agenda. If you guys look on our CAB agenda, it's linked there, but that's not helpful for the average person who's just kind of looking for it. But it is here. Neighborhood Development Hub. As you guys know, there are 2 ways to get to the information that you need to know. As you see, there's the map-based one. So it says Black Rock Rentals. That's not clickable, but if you do go to over here where it says Black Rock Rentals, so here's the project by alphabetical order. It goes in here and then it fetches the data and you'll see that the developer is Dave Snellgrove. It gives an outline of the project description, what district it's in, and the date of the meeting. And it took place on April 22nd. And what's nice about coming here is you have all of the project documents. So this was the summary of the meeting that took place, the notice card that went out, the sign-in sheet, everything like that. And then, so if you do ever want to go see what took place, you can always click on the notes on that. And then they actually keep track of like, here were the concerns that the public made. Here's some changes to the proposal. So the idea of using shipping containers in tan was discussed. Art cars or artfully painted trailers could be used as possibly interspersed with the tan containers. So there was a lot of different comments on here. And so these notes will be shared with the Planning Commission or Board of Adjustment, whichever group is going to be reviewing this. And so these will have to be included in the plan if any promises were made. So if these were like, concessions that were made, then that would have to be then included and integrated into the plan. So that's really nice. That's why these are great to have them so early. So that's the development hub. And then we also have on our agenda that we want to share the different openings of boards and commissions that are coming up as opportunities for you guys to get more involved. There is a Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Coordinating Council that has an opening. And then the Washoe County Advisory Board to Manage Wildlife is a really interesting one. So this is something as a 3-year term. It outlines here what the application deadlines are. The application deadline is tomorrow, the 9th at 5 p.m. So if it's something that you'd like to apply for, we encourage you to do so. And it closes on May 21st. So you have a little bit more time. They only meet, looks like 4 times a year. So it's not a lot of time. And it doesn't look like you have to be an attorney or anything like that. Because I kind of wondered about, Justice Council. So those are the 2 that I wanted to share with you. Does anyone have any questions on either the Neighborhood Development Hub or the Board and Commission openings?
Any questions? No?
Yeah, could we briefly revisit the Nevada local government justice, whatever that was? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What is that? Could you walk us through it?
Sure. So I don't know about it other than what's there, but I can open my screen. And so this is also linked on the agenda. So the Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Coordinating Council, it says that they were advised the Nevada Sentencing Commission on matters related to any legislation, regulations, rules, budgetary changes as it relates to local governments, county level programming and treatment needs for persons involved in the criminal justice system, recommendations about sentencing, overseeing implementation of local grants, which is always interesting, and then create performance measures to assess effectiveness of the grants, and then identify opportunities for collaboration with the Department of Health and Human Services. So it looks like it is a term of 2 years. And then there's no written qualifications for serving on this board. So I think it's for people who are interested. It says people who have a background in the process of reentry into society after incarceration or programming. And they meet 4 times per year or as needed. So sometimes that might mean that they'll cancel a meeting, or maybe they have a special meeting that they'll call. So this one sounds like someone who has a passion for justice and rehabilitation of those who have been incarcerated would be an ideal applicant for this one.
No, thank you. That sounds extremely specific.
Kind of, huh?
Any more questions for Candy? Okay, number 7, report on requests for service from previous cabinet meetings. So I will provide a report to the community outlining requests that are made of the county during a previous cab meeting. So all I have is that Dave Solaro will update us on the fire department next month at our next meeting.
So that'll be the last meeting before
Mhm.
Pyramid Lakes contract ends.
Yep.
So we'll be updated with time to do what about it?
Exactly.
Great.
That's all I know, is that he'll be here at the next meeting.
And I did provide you with an update. There were a couple of requests that were made during last month's cab. If you want me to pull that up, I can. I just
Okay.
emailed it to you this afternoon. Yeah, so what it was, we had 2 questions that were asked during last month's cab meeting. One was regarding if people who travel from, so for instance, the openings I just showed you on those boards and commissions, if someone applied, the question was posed, if someone from the Gerlach area, for instance, are they going to be reimbursed for travel and mileage considering it's 2 hours in each direction? And I learned that the answer to that, as it stands right now, is a no. However, there might be certain exceptions that would be made for someone. They might be able to Zoom in to a meeting, or that particular board might choose to implement some kind of reimbursement option. But as it stands right now, there aren't any that people who travel from distances are being reimbursed for mileage. So that's what I learned on that. And then the PILT money was the other question. Yes, Ms. Gambrell had asked, where's the money, Lebowski? So, I had
Lovely
shared
letter.
that, yes, I had shared that there was information about that. So, my understanding is that when PILT money comes in, which is payment in lieu of taxes, PILT, it's federal lands that the federal government pays Washoe County because we're not using that land. It's federal land. So what they do is they give us money, and I'm probably explaining this very poorly, but I did have the written information approved by our assistant county manager, Dave Solaro, who does better understand the PILT program. And so essentially it's any money that comes into Washoe County, whether it be from PILT, different tax, resources, they're pooled. It sounds like they're pooled. And so they're not setting aside certain funds just for one particular program, is my understanding. And he can speak to this in much more detail and probably answer some questions that people might have, but they're not setting aside money just for one specific program based on the PILT money from that area. He said a majority of the PILT money that does come into Washoe County is near like the Incline Village, Crystal Bay area from all of like the forestry land and things like that. So that is the report out from the questions that had come up during last month's CAB. We do like to provide the room information because people might have been wondering the same question, or maybe they heard it arise and they're like, well, now I want to know the answer to that as well. I hesitated to post the answers on the CAB page, but I will do so before tomorrow. So I can post the link to that so you guys can read it because it's much more eloquent than I explained it.
Candy, you might need to forward some of this to Dave Solero so he has a little heads up before he comes out next month. So the PILT, which is Public Law 94-565, which came into existence in October 1976, was an amendment of one from earlier, but it's Code 69, Title 31 of the U.S. Code, and it is exactly what you said. The federal government owns a lot of lands. That includes national parks, BLM land, and several other forms of federal game, military bases, things like that, where they don't collect any property tax, which would normally go to the county of wherever you're living. And what they have set up is they have set up a system of payment to the areas, and I think Utah's the only state that has a special setup. But, and they base how much they pay you depending on the population. So if we were actually to set aside the lands around Gerlach because we're under 5,000 people, we would be getting $186 or so more for every parcel that they do. But because we're lumped in with Tahoe and Incline and all of that, we have a higher population. So Washoe's actually getting less money because they're not separating us from everybody else. And they have to keep it by county. Don't get wrong. We need to be our own county is what I'm saying. But what I also know about it is that Washoe County has 2,934,163 acres of this kind of land that they get paid for by the federal government. And of that land, because Tina and I spent 6 hours looking at every APN, 2,623,170 are within the 5th district that this CAB oversees, which leaves 310,993 acres around Tahoe, Incline, and other places in Washoe County. And in the actual writings that they part on the PILT website where you can go and ask questions and do things, it does specifically say the county gets to disperse it how they want to. But within those questions, there's also payments under Section 6904 and 6905 of the Act must be redistributed proportionally to affected areas and school districts that lost property taxes because of the federal acquisitions. Recipients may then use the payments for any other form. But there's also another place in here that says specifically, payments help local governments carry out such vital services as firefighting and police protection, construction of public schools and roads, as well as search and rescue operations. That's where my hangup is, proportionally. Yes, it all goes to Washoe County. Yes, Washoe County can use it for whatever they want to. But in the spirit of the writings of why they did this, that money is proportionally divided among, which is why it still disturbs the living daylights out of me that we could not find $250,000 or even $300,000 to get along with our neighbors to our south, which were doing great jobs on our fire departments here. They were doing absolutely wonderful. Because when I started looking into this back in 2020, we were getting $3,767,957. Well, as of 2024, it's gone up to $4,472,019, as I said earlier. So the money is increasing annually, because truly I did start this in 2019, but I didn't bring those notes. And I'm still disturbed that when Dave Solaro, I think it was out here last time, said that we will never pay enough taxes to pay for a fire department. We don't pay enough taxes to pay for our sheriffs. That's what this money's for. So of that money that came in, if you divided it among the people living here in the 5th district covered by this fire department, this police department, this school, I think we are actually paying taxes on that 2,623,170 acres coming out of that $4 million, which is over 90 or 84%. So theoretically, everybody up here, even though I only give you guys a couple of $100 a year for my property, when you add the money that comes from the federal government to mine, I'm paying as much, if not more taxes than the people in Incline and Tahoe. So please don't insult us by saying we're not paying enough taxes. We pay what we can out here and the federal government helps us. Thank you. That's what I have to say.
I will make a comment. I don't think he meant to insult you by saying that you don't pay enough taxes. I think he's just saying that the money is received going to the general fund, but I don't think he was meaning to imply that, but he can speak for himself next month.
Correct. Okay, I feel better.
Okay, great.
My little red package.
I think that means we're done with 7 now. 8, commissioner and board member items. So our county commissioner is not here and our county manager is not here. Okay. And I emailed you, Candy. You're going to reach out to Gabrielle for an art trails update or
Yes,
Status?
so, yes, you had made a request regarding the art trail status and I've reached out to her. I haven't heard back yet, but I only wrote her today.
Yeah.
So yes, I will try and get that on the agenda. And
Okay.
I do want to let you know as well that Brian Buffert approached me. He's our sustainability manager and he wanted to provide an update next month regarding a grant opportunity. So I did want to put that out there that he had requested
Okay.
to be on the cab.
Wonderful. Shotzi, do you have anything? Ruby?
Yeah, so I've been trying for a really long time for somebody from Gerlach to get a seat at the table when Burning Man plans what they're going to do to our town every summer. Just somebody in the room who lives here and represents this town and can say, no, please don't close the street I live on, or could you please have more portos so people don't use my lawn, that sort of thing. And we've been going round and round with finger pointing that we don't do that here. That's not my department. You need to go ask somebody else. Have you tried asking Burning Man nicely? And the last incarnation of this discussion that we had, I was advised, Candy, by you and Dave, that we should ask Burning Man to be considered cooperating agencies so that we would be in the loop when this planning happened. And they said no. So where does that leave us? Was that it? Is this the end of democracy? That they have a novel business model that has excluded all public comment and feedback? I mean, if they were trying to open a car wash here, we would have had 4 meetings about it and people would have had an opportunity to submit written feedback that they would have had to incorporate into their business plan. But they're going on their 31st year of a temporary one-time permit that's exempt from that process. So I'm just curious, like, how can I discharge the duties of my office here as a cab member? It's my job to ask hard questions, but I can't get in the room. And if these meetings are secret from me, then I can't anticipate any sort of problems that might arise. So we're reduced to this pattern where they don't tell us what they're going to do. They do whatever they want. We complain, they pretend they're sorry, and we start over again. And I really don't think that that's the best we can do. I think with very little effort, we could do a lot better than that. But somebody outside of this room has to make that decision. Somebody has to decide that we're worth speaking up for and pick up the phone and contact Burning Man, because they've blocked all of my email addresses. Somebody thought that was hilarious. I cannot reach anybody at Burning Man. So somebody else has to do it.
I just posted in the chat, I guess you would call it. Because I pulled up what I had sent to you because it was a while back, so I couldn't recall. So it looks like what had been recommended is that an entity in Gerlach that represents the community. So that could be the CAB, if it were voted upon as like we are now the negotiating entity. Request to be, quote, an affected party with the BLM. It says there are several entities or affected parties that have a seat at the table during the permitting process, including Pershing County, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, NDOT, Nevada Highway Patrol. And I said, I heard that the Gerlach Volunteer Fire is also already, quote, an affected party. I would recommend that you get in touch with the BLM Winnemucca Field Office. I understand what you just said, that you've been blocked, or I guess that was from Burning Man, or someone directly with the BLM if you already have a good or personal contact there to learn more about what it would mean to become an affected party, which does entail, what does it entail exactly? As you learn more about what this means, we could then add an item as a for action to an upcoming CAB to determine if the CAB wanted to act on this role. Pete
I
does
had a
have his
couple-
hand raised.
I-
I just want, okay, go ahead.
I had several calls with Jonah Bluestain, who is the Black Rock field officer for BLM, the field manager. He said that affected party is not a thing. That's not a phrase that they use in their permitting, but he said that there's such a thing as being a cooperating agency. So I requested invitations for CAB, the GID, and the volunteer fire department, who was shocked and surprised to learn that they've had a seat at the table this whole time. No one in the room was aware of that. As the treasurer of the Gerlach Volunteer Fire Department, I was not aware either. So Jonah told me that Burning Man had declined to bring in the GID or the CAB, but that the volunteers would be able to attend the cooperators meeting, which occurred last week in Reno. When I called to confirm the day before, they told me that that was not true. And it's a good thing I didn't drive down there and show up. I would have been furious. So I've tried following those steps and it's got me nowhere. So here we are.
I mean, I don't know what to say about this other than that Mr. Solero, again, he is the person I received this information from.
Mhm.
He will be there next month, so we can agendize this as a topic. This is what I have been told.
For action.
that It would have to be a for action item, absolutely. Speaking of it not being for action, Pete Dronkers does have his hand raised and.
I got something to add to it before we get to public comment.
Oh, but okay, let me finish my sentence really quickly. So he will, because this is not a for action item, he can't comment on this. However, during public comment, at that point, Pete would very much be encouraged to do so. But go ahead, Shotzi.
Okay, and it has been on our agendas over and over, I mean, since I've gotten here. And Christy actually had a lot to do with bringing this up and trying to get a seat at the table for the permitting process even. Washoe approves permits for a lot of things in Gerlach without talking to Gerlach when it comes to Burning Man. And I find that a little inconvenient for the Gerlachians because we don't even know what's coming till they come here and set up and do something. So Christy's got her hand up and I'll hand it over to her.
Can I interject really quickly?
Yes, Christy. I mean, Candy, go ahead, and then Christy.
Sorry, I just want to make sure, I'm worried that we're going down the Burning Man and Burning Man is not agendized. And so as we start talk more and more, I just wanted to throw that out as I'm looking at the agenda. We're starting to have a discussion
Board
on
member
Burning Man.
item.
What's that?
Things we'd like to see in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, but we just can't we're starting a discussion, which then starts to become problematic as far as open meeting law. But I think this should definitely be a topic for next month, and it can be a for action item, but we'd have to know what we're voting on. So that's something we can work out together, or maybe Tina, between now and next month. And what is the action that we're asking for the CAP to take? Is that to become an affected party or I can't remember the name that Russell said. But let's discuss offline on what it is exactly that the CAB wants to vote on next month and make it a for action so that this can be discussed in greater detail. If that's okay.
Yes. Christy, you have your hand up?
I do. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
I don't know how to turn my video on this new system. Anyway, I'll just say my piece. So in being cognizant of what Candy just mentioned, one of the items that I had requested, which could perhaps go into this agenda item, is it's Washoe County that is a cooperating agency on the BLM permitting process. And my request in the past has been that Gerlach as a community is specifically engaged with the county when they participate in that process, and that's it.
Thank you, Christy. Any more board member items? Okay, now we'll go into general public comment. Pete?
Okay, you can talk now, Pete.
Okay. So I'm curious if Russell believes that we're blocking his email addresses. I have communicated with Russell by email, and I hope that you know that you can reach out to me about anything at any time. I join these meetings and all GGID meetings to hear what is on people's mind and to understand their concerns so that we can respond. So if you want to test email, we can do that and make sure that we have open lines of communication. As far as other items, I'm not exactly sure what the grievance might be, but I'd like to address those on a case by case basis because we have several ways that we remain available. We have a office hours, we have a phone number, we have the newsletter, we have public meetings, we have open houses. We've done all of those things just in the last couple of years. And so I feel like we're available at all times for anything, regardless of what the substance of the issue is. I also understand that some things have to be agendized through the CAB process, but we're here. I'm here. We want to talk specifics. And so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Pete. Any more general public comment? Hi, Carl.
I'll go back for the record. Couple things. I'd like to compliment all the public art that's gone up. That looks beautiful. Secondly, I'd like to thank Shotzi for bringing to everyone's attention the math that is what she explained and how basically 500 people between Pyramid Lake and the Oregon line are with the assistance of the federal government and Washoe County manifesting a reality out here. And we're going to need some fire protection here coming soon. And those tax dollars would seem to be earmarked for the few souls here that are generating them because we're surrounded by the majority of those federal lands that are providing those tax dollars. I understand they're going to the general fund, as Shotzi pointed out, but proportionally, it's the wide open spaces of northern Washoe County that are generating those dollars and are in sorely need of those dollars right now for our fire protection. We're also a recreational destination for the lower part of Washoe County, and we want those people to be served just as well when they're down up here as when they're down there. Thirdly, what Russell said about Burning Man and a seat at the table. Pete, Gerlach needs a seat at the table. I believe the CAB is the entity that should be the one that gets the seat. The CAB is too many people work for the GGID, too many people work for the organization, and that poses a conflict of interest. The CAB would be probably the most appropriate organization because of the reach of it in terms of Washoe County. Lastly, Burning Man's been having outreach all over the country, and I think it would be appropriate that they bring that roadshow to Gerlach, given the effect of Burning Man on the community and the passion and the need to give the feedback. Without that feedback loop that Marion was receptive to and providing, we made a lot of progress, but I'm not seeing that agendized here anytime soon. And there was a considerable amount of effort to go out and gather input from the rest of the country on an ongoing basis, and I would be thrilled to see that production brought to Gerlach. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Any more public comment? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Pete Drunkers has his hand raised again. Pete, unfortunately, well, there's just the one public comment per person, but if you'd like to, I'm sure Tina or anyone would be happy to hear from you offline, or you can contact me as well.
All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we leave.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good. You get to go home early tonight, Candy.
On Gerlach nights, I'm already home.
I love it.
I love it. You're my favorite cat. I've told you this.
Yes.
We love you,
Thanks, guys.
Candy.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.